Hello everybody, welcome back to BareRose Garage. What's going on? Well, I got the roof of the hood of the Mercury open again. Why? Well, I discovered another problem with it. I went to pull it around to unload the trunk, get all my tools and all the spare parts and stuff out of the trunk, you know, from packing up to go to the No Name Nationals, which I didn't make because the car didn't make it. Well, when I got in it, had no power brakes. It was manual brakes. Okay, well, while I was working on this car, I had a hiss going on underneath, you know, vacuum leak. I figured it was something to do with the heating controls and all that stuff because, well, back in these years, they kind of had a computer, but it was all run off vacuum. They used the vacuum signal to run everything from your heater controls all the way to the emergency brake. I mean, they robbed the engine vacuum to do all kinds of stuff, you know, automatic stuff in these cars back in the day. And it started in the mid 60s and then ran all the way through the 80s, as a matter of fact. So one of the things that is really common in these old cars is those old vacuum lines, they break, you know, they get brittle, they start to leak. Well, long story short, yes, I had a hiss going on under the dash and I couldn't get to it and I couldn't find it because getting the dash out of this thing is a nightmare. It's a complete and total nightmare. So I gave up on it, and what I was going to do is I was just going to plug all the vacuum for all the heater controls and everything and just run the vacuum advance all the way down there to Sykeston and back, which I didn't make, as you know. But the hiss really started to get more, and again, it was under the dash, had everything disconnected. Like I said, I was in a hurry, so I didn't have time to really dive into it. Well, the hiss is in a different spot. It's not under the dash, and I'll show you. Now, the reason I'm showing it to you is because, well, I went over and was talking to my dad, and he cued me in on it. Now, this is Idaho. Around here, this is Ford country. I mean, Ford outsold everybody, especially in the pickups. Why? Because on the ranch, you could, any ranch or farm around here, you can walk out into a field, close your eyes, turn around 6 times, throw 4 rocks, and hit 5 Fords. They're just everywhere here. That's a big reason why you see me with a lot of Fords right now, is because, well, they're the easiest ones for me to pick up on the cheap because they're everywhere. So, back to the point on this. Now, prior to all of this, I have had, I think, 2 390s and 3 360s. Now, the reason I've had those is because they've all got, let's see, what is it? 5, number 4 and number 5 exhaust valve is always burnt on them, especially on the FEs and especially in the trucks, the pickup trucks. They always burnt that valve, so they'd start to smoke, start to burn oil. How I got those was, well, my dad's been in business for a long time, so, and especially the 360s, people would just bring them in, they'd smoke in a little bit, and dad would, you know, give them the bad news on it, and instead of rebuilding the head, they would just pull them and put a 390 in them. That was the big thing through the 80s, early 90s. They just pull them out and throw another one in it, and usually upgrade it to the 390. A couple of them a little bigger than that with the 428s, but, you know, mostly 390s. So I had a stockpile of FE 360s with burnt valves in them. Now, what causes that? It's exactly what's going on with this Mercury, and I'll show you. The power brake vacuum, everything, all the vacuum comes off of number 5 port, or number 4 intake port right there. That's where it's getting its vacuum signal out of. Now, what happens is when you lose vacuum on here, and get my dang head out of the way, When you start getting a vacuum leak in here, what'll happen is it'll suck air through there. And when air goes through there, well, you're burning lean. And it's always lean on these two cylinders. This is the one that really gets it, but sometimes it'll take number 5 too. Because it's introducing air into the mixture on those two cylinders through that vacuum port. And that vacuum port runs everything. On this car, it runs the heater controls. Like I said, everything, all of the automatic stuff that's inside of the car, it's all run off vacuum. And it's pulling it off that cylinder. Also with that, you're losing a little bit of vacuum response out of them two cylinders. It's kind of the way it is. It's the vacuum signature when it's pulled off of one port. Now, the power brake runs off of that. Now, when I went to go pull it around here, like I said, it has manual brakes now. I have no power brakes. Well, very, very common on these old power brake systems. You'll notice there's no valve in here. There's no filter in here. It's just got the dump valve right here, dump port on it here, that's been plugged off. On the newer systems, they have a filter in here. What does that filter do? Well, that filter keeps any gas fumes from going in to your brake booster. Inside this brake booster, there's a big rubber diaphragm. Now, fuel vapor and rubber don't mix. The fuel vapor drives that rubber out, cracks it after a while, and starts, when that, diaphragm in there cracks and separates a little bit, it starts sucking vacuum. That's the vacuum hiss I'm hearing under the dash, because it's transferring through the power brake booster into the car there. I'm hearing it inside of the car. When it's out here, I don't hear it so much. And now, the way to check for that, and it's really simple, I'll show you. This is the reason I got the valve or the air cleaner off here. We'll go ahead and start her up. Now you see she's kind of chugging along and everything. All you got to do is take a pair of needle nose pliers. Hear her idle down. Now she's smoothing out. That's a definite leak right in here. It's just sucking right past the power brake booster. So, what it's doing is it's introducing air through here and leaning out my mixture in those two cylinders over there. If I kept running it like this, it'll burn those valves out. And like I said, we've had a lot of FEs come in with those burnt valves on them too right there. But anyway, that's an easy way to check it. Just pinch it off. See, now she's smoothing it right out. And of course, the other way to check it, it's because it's got no power brakes. It's just got manual brakes right now, because that vacuum booster, the rubber inside of it, because there's no filter on it, they didn't put any filters on them back in these years, is gone, and it's just deteriorated that rubber out, so it's just passing vacuum where it's not supposed to be. Anyway, hope that helps you out there. And on these old FEs, it'll do it on any car from this era. It'll just be different sides because of the way they pull their vacuum signature. If I remember right, Chevy, it pulls it direct underneath the carburetor, so it's pulling all vacuum, so it leans out the entire mixture instead of just concentrating on two cylinders. Anyway, I hope that helps you out there, and in the meantime, get out there and get some metal hot, and we'll keep these old Fords on the road. running the right way, right? Even if we didn't make it to Sykeston. We'll see you on the next.